Hello, world, and welcome to Post Credits Commentary, a podcast where we make commentary post credits.
I'm Ian.
And I'm Allison.
Join us weekly as we give you our unfiltered opinions and hottest takes on recently watched films.
And spoiler alert, there will be spoilers.
Grab your popcorn, silence your phones, and let's roll the tape.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Post Credits Commentary. For this week, we will be reviewing the new live-action Lilo and Stitch movie. The plot for this is a young Hawaiian girl is lonely and looking for friendship and hopes to find that in her newly adopted dog, only to find out he's actually an alien designed to create chaos. As most people know, this is based off the original Lilo and Stitch animated version from the early 2000s. What were your initial thoughts, Ian?
Well, I think we should start with thoughts on the OG first.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. So, thoughts of the OG. I really enjoy the OG, the original Lilo and Stitch from 2002. I think it's really heartfelt. It's really emotional. I think it lands. It tells a really good story about family. I love the found family trope. And this movie is like classic found family trope. Yeah, I mean, I watched it a couple times. I didn't really grow up on Lilo and Stitch.
What?
I was 4 when it came out.
So?
2002.
Lilo's a 6-year-old child.
I know, I'm just saying. I gravitated towards a lot of other Disney films. I had it on VHS, though. I watched it a couple times. I did rewatch it before we saw the remake as a little refresher, and I thought it was quite good. Really good.
I have since rewatched it after watching the remake, and I also think it's pretty great. I grew up on them. I was 6 when the first one came out, so I was like peak age 7. I was 7 when these came out. The first one came out, and I definitely remember watching the sequels, so I was a pretty decent fan of Stitch. But the original I thought was pretty great. Yeah, I don't have any complaints on it. Also, I have recently learned, because I am an uncultured white girl, that the behind the meaning of Ohana literally, like, it means family, but it means found family, like not just family. Yeah, uncultured white boy.
So then, do you want to take your initial thoughts, or do you want me to go initial thoughts for the remake?
You can go. What are your initial thoughts on the remake?
All right. My initial thoughts on the remake is very similar to, I think, my thoughts on all the other Disney remakes that I've seen. And I think, in general, they're all kind of overhated. Okay.
Is this a hot take?
I'm gonna have a lot of hot takes in this movie. I'm warning everyone now. This whole episode, I guess, will be hot takes. But while I agree with everyone that this business model is annoying, because I would much rather prefer original stories that Disney can tell. I don't mind the remakes as films. Like, ideology-wise, sure. They're not great. But when you think about the reason they're doing it, they're not necessarily re-releasing these movies for, like, you and I. They're re-releasing them so that new kids have that movie theater experience with Disney movies. So I get that from an outside perspective, it looks Well, because they are. They're doing it to make money, make cash. I don't know if I told you, but I was talking to someone else about this movie, and I was like, this could have been 2 hours of Stitch causing chaos without any plot, and it would make so much bank because it's just Stitch.
Yep.
So, at the end of the day, there's a good movie here. I found it enjoyable. I found it pretty emotional. It's a good movie. Where it falls apart is when you compare it to the original, in my opinion. If the original didn't exist, I think this would be a fine movie. It would be a good one to take your kids to. The problem is, with this and with all remakes, you're always going to compare it to the original.
I will slightly agree with you, but also slightly disagree. I 100% think Disney is banking on all of the millennials and early Gen Zers that are going to go see this movie just because of how much they like the original. I don't think their sole purpose is just to recreate this for the new generation. It's all about the money.
It's always all about the money. But I don't know if you paid attention or noticed, because I can't even say I noticed that much. But like, what do you think the age breakdown was for our showing?
What do you mean?
Like, average age of our audience.
It was children.
It was a lot of children.
Yes.
I think
There are no other children's movies out right now, though.
that's a fair point. But to jump off of the point you made, like they're doing it for the millennials. I'm not.
Okay, let me rephrase. They're not doing it for them, but I think it's not out of their mind that that's going to happen.
No, 100%. But I think they're doing it so that the millennials that now have kids can then be like, oh, I loved this movie. My kids will like this movie. Let me take them to the theaters. That's what I think they're doing.
All right, I would agree with that, yes.
But sorry to interrupt.
No, I was just going to say my initial thoughts were pretty good. There are some curious plot deviations,
Yes, there are.
but it's still good. And yeah, we'll get into it.
Well, we can probably get into it now because we're in our plot script.
All right.
Section. So let's start with the plot. I think this one's an interesting one to do the plot. It's very similar for the first 2 acts of the movie, I would say. Not perfectly one for one.
Yeah,
Just
there's
pretty similar.
some absences and changes there.
I don't think it goes really off the walls crazy until Act 3. That's where like the majority of the changes are to me.
I would agree with this. Maybe not the majority, but the biggest change is definitely towards the end. Yes.
I mean, I can think of 3 big changes at the end of the movie that aren't in the original.
Well, when I think of it, I kind of tie them all in together, but yeah,
Okay.
we'll get there. So let's start at the beginning. Starts out almost exactly the same. We're in space somewhere. I don't know that they ever clarify.
There is a little caption that says that.
Is it in English? Oh, okay. And it's almost this part in the remake is like almost like head to head exact, except for one thing, and that is Gantu.
Yeah. MIA.
MIA. So in the original, this is the part where we see Stitch for the first time. He's in jail, I guess, and they're like, oh, he's an abomination. And they bring in, what's Mad Scientist's name? Jumba. They bring in Jumba, and they're like, why did you create this? And in the remake, it's almost exactly the same. Even like the little, I guess I call them aliens, I don't know. Little aliens that are sitting at the computers. They did a really good job recreating them. But we don't have a Gantu.
I also have a thought about this opening. I felt like it was very fast-paced, like way faster than the original. And I don't know why I felt that way, but when I was watching it, I was like, we are speeding. And I think I understand why I think we did this, because we wanted to get to Lilo a little bit earlier.
Well,
In the OG, it's like 10 minutes of just Stitch at first, and it's easily half that.
see, when we watched the live action, because I watched the original after watching the live action, so during the live action, I was like, oh, this is pretty fast. I don't remember it starting like this. But then when I watched the original, it was also pretty fast. Like, there's maybe a couple of extra scenes of Stitch just being Stitch, but like, not that much.
No, I think I just still think it was very fast. All of a sudden, here's one. Here's a great. So, in the original, he escapes, enters warp space, and then they jump to the woman being like, "Where is he?" Mm-hmm. In this one, though, when he escapes from the guns, that's where she runs out and says, "Where is he?" So we like skipped some stuff there. It felt very fast, but again, I think that comes down to just the fact that Gontu is missing.
Yeah, this is also like...
Because like a lot of stuff that he did is just notably absent, and they just kind of
Right.
give it to that other one.
And he had a lot of scenes in the beginning of the original. I don't hate, in general, that they took Gantu out. But I also feel like they could have made something else work. Or like mentioned that he's off doing something. I did see the director was asked about this, and he said they just couldn't make it work. Like that I think because he's so large, it wouldn't have seemed realistic. I say that in quotations because obviously he's an alien, but like they couldn't find a version that just didn't look off.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll never know because we'll probably never see him. But
Yeah.
I mean, the opening's pretty spot on. It's fast, like in my opinion. But I mean, Stitch says pretty much everything the same.
Mm-hmm.
We just end up on Hawaii. How we get there is interesting because he destroys his own ship, whereas in the original he doesn't. He's shot down, which forced him to go to hyperdrive.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But again, I feel like that's just this movie really, I think, relies on Stitch being a troublemaker more so than the original. Because we have so then we get to Hawaii.
Yes.
And he crashes a whole wedding. That's not in the original.
That is true. Yes. But I feel like
He gets hit by a truck in the original.
I feel like there are other moments once like he's with Lilo that he's more of a troublemaker that they don't show in this remake. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it balances out. I think maybe just in the remake they're trying to show him as trouble before he's actually met Lilo.
Yes, correct. They're trying to show that character that he has.
Which, speaking of, well, let me back up. His crash landing scene onto Earth and when he like comes out is also very accurate to the original. And there's that frog, which you had a thought about the frog. You don't remember your frog thought. I think about the CGI of it.
Oh, yeah. That did look like a video game.
I didn't have that thought when I first saw it, but...
That whole scene, because it's two CGI characters. They did the same thing with the frog that they did with the animals in Snow White, where they just made them more cartoon looking.
Oh.
Using real...
Like they did in The Lion King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lion King, they just made them real lions, or look like real lions.
Yeah.
Because the frog, if we were to put the frog from this and the frog from the OG side by side, they would be almost identical. Like, it doesn't look like a real frog, it's a cartoon frog.
I think it looks more realistic than you remember.
I know it doesn't.
Having seen the one in the cartoons like fluorescent green.
No. Yes.
And it's 2D.
Probably yes, but
Are you pulling it up?
yes.
Okay.
So, I'm not ready to play this.
We don't.
So then we meet Lilo. An interesting change to Lilo here is that she's a little less quirky in this version, I feel like,
Really?
and a little more depressed.
Yes. I don't know that I agree with quirky. I think they just show different quirks. Like, certain things they keep exactly the same. Like, it opens up with her feeding the peanut butter sandwich to the fish Pudge, which is great. I'm glad they kept that in there.
And then she never talks about it later.
She does. She says it to her instructor.
Yeah, but she doesn't talk about why.
Oh, I see.
She tells Stitch why she does it.
Yes.
That's not in this one. Like, yes, she has that same conversation with her instructor about, like, hey,
Yeah.
what's the weather? But maybe it is more quirky now that I think about it. Because now she just says that, and there's no payoff to that line later.
And like one thing about this one that's not in the original is like I guess they're making it more modern. Obviously we're in Hawaii, so like there's this resort, and I guess she sneaks in and gets into the hot tub and just chills there like an old man chilling in the hot tub or something. I think that was pretty quirky. I don't know.
Yeah, but like I don't know if it's really. Maybe it is sneaking in. I just don't feel like anyone really cares that she's there, which is the point.
I mean, they yelled at her the second time she did it.
Yeah, but then what actually happens?
I mean, yeah, I'm just saying it's weird, you know, there's just this little 6-year-old.
I mean, if I could break into it.
Do you do that as a 6-year-old? I wouldn't have thought of that as a 6-year-old.
Yeah, well, she's a 6-year-old that's alone. So.
All the more reason it's weird. All right, well, anyways, I think she's so quirky.
I think she's quirky. I just don't think she's as quirky.
I don't know. Well, anyways, back to the beginning. So we have Lilo, and it opens again in a similar way, but this time it's a little different, where she's running from the ocean to get to her hula class. Is this one just a practice, or is it a performance?
This is a performance.
Okay,
And Nani's not there.
correct. In the original, is it also a performance? Or is it just practice? I think it's a practice for a performance. Because I don't think there are people in the seats.
In the original?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
But, yeah, okay. And a similar thing happens where, obviously, no, I guess it's a little different. In the original, obviously, she just came from the ocean, so she's wet. So she joins the dance on the stage, and people slip. Does that happen in the remake? No.
No, she just straight up pushes that girl over.
Okay. But in the original, she
throws hands with that girl in the original.
yes. So in the original, she basically attacks the girl for calling her something after everybody ends up falling. And I think in general, there are a few things that Disney definitely decided we're not putting in this remake because of the times. One is children attacking each other. Another one that I noticed was that in the original, she would take photos of all the fat people at the beach and had like a collage in her room. Okay, I'll give you that. That's really quirky. But it's not something you can really show an actual little girl doing, because that's really, really weird. But in the remake, she doesn't attack this girl. I don't remember what triggered her to push her.
I think the girl just bumps into her.
Oh, okay, just like a shoulder
Yeah.
hit.
You're misremembering the scene. Sure.
They're definitely performing, so I didn't know if she like gave her a look or something, but Lilo just kind of flips and decides to push her in the middle of the performance.
But I think the remake does a good job of showing that Nani isn't there for Lilo. Not that, like, did I say the original? I meant the remake.
Mm-hmm.
The remake does a good job of making it very clear that Nani isn't there, which I think helps with Lilo's anger in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember in the OG if it's like obvious that she has a seed, but it's not because it's a practice.
It's a practice, yeah. They don't mention until I think at the end that Nani told her to wait there or something.
Yep. Yeah, so she just kind of like attacks this girl, gets thrown out. Those like two random adults are like, this girl was bad. Then that's when she sneaks through the resort to go home.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nani does actually go to... We see her go to the hole-up.
Mm-hmm.
It's implied in the original that she goes, but we don't actually see her. And then we get to another bizarre change to me, where the social worker is actually just a social worker and not Cobra Bubbles in this one.
Right. Fun fact, that actress is the original voice actor for Nani.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's probably why they did it then.
I don't know if it's why they did it, but they did it.
They like to put live action.
There's...
Ming-Na Wen is in the Mulan one. They like to see it.
Also, the voice actor that originally played David is also in it. I think he's the guy that fires Nani. Yeah. Also, David's mom, the grandma lady, she is the original voice actor for that one old lady in the original. She's like kind of like a side character, honestly. She has those glasses. All right, I'm gonna pull up a picture. All right, this lady.
Oh.
That is her.
Wow.
Yeah. So quite a lot of voice actor Easter eggs in there.
Yes, so that woman is a strange inclusion to me in this movie too.
David's mother.
David's mom. It makes sense in the story that the remake is trying to tell.
Mm-hmm.
We'll jump into that in the third act.
Yeah, I agree. When we first, because I didn't rewatch the original before seeing it, so when we first saw her, I remember I was thinking, I was like, I don't remember there being like this grandma.
Because there wasn't. But the other reason I think it's bizarre is because, to be quite frank, she spends more time with Lilo than Nani does in this movie. A lot of things that Nani does for Lilo, this character does instead.
Mm-hmm.
Like let her go to the dog
animal shelter.
Lets her get the dog. Like
Mm-hmm.
the whole dog sequence is because of Tutu.
Yeah. Yep.
Tutu. butchering that pronunciation.
I don't think there's many ways you could say that word. We're
So-
uncultured.
And then also, it's weird to have her, and then, like, David doesn't really have any scenes with her. So David then just feels like another character. Like, I understood they were mom, son, but by the end of the movie, I was like,
Oh, this
are
is
they
true.
related?
I agree with that. That's very true.
So yeah, we introduced her. We introduced this subplot that Tutu wants Nani to go to school, and Nani's like, I can't leave Lilo. We'll talk about
We'll
that.
get to that. And we also have this official social worker.
Who does everything Cobra Bubbles does.
Yes, she just looks like an actual social worker
Yeah.
and not this large, mysterious man.
Here's something I like. Here's a change that I like in this movie. The thing she does where she has Nani write down like 3 goals that she wants to complete. I like that little change because so like in the original, they're like, Nani, just get a job and like all your problems will be solved. But like, to be quite frank, in the original, she's like probably needs way more work done than just getting a job. And I think it's the same thing here. So like, I like that the social worker was like, well, like, don't just think about you, think about Lilo too, right? Like, get her health insurance, which, again, we'll get there in the 3rd act.
Yeah.
That might be my favorite change in the entire movie. Because I always felt like in the original, Cobra Bubbles was too hard on her. Nani. So to actually have something happen where she needs the health insurance and then she realizes that she can't care for her, I think was a better emotional moment than just like in the original when she does. I mean, she still has she has breakdowns. It's fine, but it just happens. I think where it happens in the remake is better than where it happens in the original, in my opinion. Like that moment where everyone realizes that Lilo does need to go with someone else. I think that is my favorite change in the movie, in my opinion.
I don't hate the addition of the real social worker. I think it definitely adds to the ending. Like, I don't think they could have added this social worker and given it a different ending. I think it makes the story more modern, so to speak, or relatable. But I do think there was a missed opportunity of we could have had Terry Crews as Bubbles.
That actually would have been fun.
And I think that would have been amazing. Definitely would have gone away from their new ending, though.
I felt like it was odd to have Bubbles still be in the CIA. Like, I just don't feel like it was needed.
I think it's still needed because of the whole alien aspect. Like, if this is a live action and this is real Earth, not some random Earth, like, aliens don't exist.
Well, why does he have to, like, actually currently be CIA? The original's fine, where he's just like...
Because he's not currently a social worker.
Why?
Oh, I thought you liked that he wasn't a social worker, though.
No, I don't.
Oh. You just... Okay.
I didn't say that.
But you like this new social worker.
I didn't say that either.
You said it was your favorite thing.
Nope. I said her giving Nani the list was my favorite.
Oh, I see.
Cobra Bubbles could have done that. Cobra Bubbles.
Oh, I see.
The health insurance aspect specifically is my favorite.
Got you. I see.
My
Yes.
favorite change in the movie, I should say that. Not necessarily who gives her the list. Because
Got you.
that was probably the most jarring thing for me when the new social worker showed up, and I was like,
Yeah.
I literally leaned over and said, where's Cobra?
Uh-huh. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I don't think it was needed, but where it ends up going, I think, is the whole reason. She's there. Because I think they knew where they wanted it to go.
Yeah, that's true. So then the two finally meet, and I like the scene a lot of Lilo meeting Stitch. Another change that I kind of liked was because in the original, it's implied that Stitch only chooses Lilo because he knows that Pleakley and Jumbo won't shoot a human child. In this one, he does the same thing, but it's a little more obvious. And then even later, Jumbo calls him out for it. And, like, Lilo acts betrayed for, like, 3 seconds before they completely forget about that plot point. But, like, I like that setup, and I like that it was a thing later. I do wish that we did something a little bit deeper with it. But it is what it is. Like, I thought that was a good idea and a good showing of that. That then leads to, like, I chose her to escape, but then she actually became my family, you know? Like,
Yes. Again, another scene that, other than like how we got there, pretty similar to the original. But also, now that Gantu not existing, we have similar still that Jumba and Pleakley are sent to Earth to try to get Stitch. But in this case, we're looking at Jumba as more of a villain. Like, he's obviously was the mad scientist, evil genius in the original. But in this one, I guess he's the villain.
yes, he is. Which I have things to say about this change. Again, going back to, at base value, if this movie existed on its own, it's not a terrible idea. I don't hate the idea. But part of the charm of the original is that everyone does become a little family at the end. And it is a little bit weird that Pleakley goes to be with the family and Jumba's just in prison. That's weird. I've heard rumors, or theories, I guess, that they're going to do a second, which will end up with Jumba being part of it.
His redemption.
But, yeah. The other thing I kind of hate, and I was going to talk about cast later, but I feel like the casting of him was way off. Because he was almost too calm all movie.
Yes, I also have thoughts about the casting. Do we want to get into it now?
No, I want to finish the plot.
Okay.
But the when he does kind of like turn evil, not that he's really evil, I just feel like he's still missing that like mad scientist portion. He's just kind of like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Okay. So Lilo and Stitch are now united. And I think some things are a little different, but it's very similar in that Lilo and Nani now get to see all of the chaos that is Stitch.
And I think, again, I think they put a little more thought into his chaos moments in this one, because they wanted to show how Lilo has kind of pacified him over time. So I think he's a little more crazy in this. Another thing I wanted to say is, yes, I do think that part of the concern that I had coming into this remake was that emotionally, those moments wouldn't be there. But honestly, I do believe that it hit a lot of the good family sequences still hit in this one. And I know there's a lot of chatter online that, like, again, how we get to all those family differences is different than how we get to them in the original. But regardless of that, I still feel like I was feeling it. I teared up a bunch of times in this movie, all during family sequences. I thought the chemistry between the two girls was quite good. And, I mean, Stitch, when Stitch was cute, Stitch was so cute.
Yeah, and he was pretty freaking cute.
Another interesting change in this part of the movie was we got rid of the ugly duckling story.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that is also because how he leaves is different.
Yes. But the frogs kind of fill in because he sees a family of frogs instead of a family of ducks when he's leaving. But I'm not sure we fully can grasp why he wants. The reason he leaves in the remake is different than the reason he leaves in the original, and I think that's one of the changes that's for the worse, in my opinion. Because in the original, he wants a family, so that's why he leaves. Even the ugly duckling can have a family, so he leaves to find his family, and he has that scene where he's like, "I want my family." And in this one, he's just like knows he's a bad person, and he leaves to give Lilo and Nani some peace, right? Like,
Yeah, I think in the original there's also some of that, though. He realizes that they're mad at him.
right. And he's like, well, these guys aren't my family anymore. But like the family aspect on Stitch, I feel like is not as strong in the remake, which is a problem. It's not as strong in general, actually, because the Ohana scene, like the moment where Lilo is talking about Ohana with Nani,
Yeah.
is then ruined because she doesn't make the decision to let Stitch stay. He kicks a freezer into her face, and then he scurries away. Like, sure, it's funny for the kids, but it's a fundamentally different outcome of that scene. And it kind of goes to show that I guess the focus was a little bit different here. I will give credit where credit is due, because Nani does have a better Ohana scene in this with Stitch than I think the original, because she is the one that actively saves him from drowning.
Ah, yes. Okay.
She goes back and gets him, and I think that's better
Than David getting him. David gets him in the original, and we see him go down to get him, but then we just see him bringing him in. I thought the entire Stitch drowning scene or whatever was so good.
That was actually insane. It was so intense.
Yes, and I really like the fact that they emphasized more that the water literally makes him heavy, because I feel like in the first one they mention in the beginning that line about it makes him denser.
They say it differently. It's two different lines. I've jumped into this a lot, and I like the second one more. I like the remake's version of the line more. Because in the original they say he'll never survive with his molecular density.
Oh.
But in the remake, she specifically says that being in water will increase his molecular density.
I see.
So,
Okay, because I remember when we got to this scene and he was literally getting heavier in the water, I was like, oh, I definitely don't remember that from the first one.
yeah, because it's not in the original. They made it a point that he would get heavier. Because in the original, David, when Stitch is sinking, just whoop,
Scoops him up.
scoops him right up and goes up. And Nani kicks him around a couple times, but yeah.
I did like that emphasis. And I especially liked that when Nani finally does go down to get him, the only way for her to get him out is to literally, like, walk the floor of the ocean until she's to shore.
Which is how she was training for her marine biology degree. They say that earlier. So, it all comes back. But a downgrade for me is I don't really believe in Lilo and Nani, or not Lilo and Nani, Stitch and Nani's relationship in this one. They like really cut that back. A moment that stuck out to me was in the original when Stitch goes surfing with Lilo and Nani. He holds on to Nani's leg, and Nani like is cool with that. But in this one, they made the choice to have Stitch hold on to Lilo, and I just don't think there's ever really a bonding moment between Nani and Stitch in the remake. Until the very end, where Lilo literally has to plead with Nani to like go get him. Otherwise, she like doesn't care about Stitch at all. Which,
yeah, I think that was a choice though, because in the original, Lilo is also still pleading, but like Nani is like, I don't care about him. I'm gonna get Lilo to shore, and that's why then David goes and gets him.
Yeah, but in this one though, in the remake, they make Lilo practically drown. So then the obvious solution is for Nani, who cares about Lilo more, to like literally get her out. So like Lilo isn't pleading with Nani to go get Stitch in that case. And I'm not saying she's doing the correct thing. Like I also would get, sorry Stitch, I'd also get a human like my sister out of drowning sister. I'd get her out before a little blue alien dog. Like, sorry Stitch.
But like she still goes back for him.
David goes back for him.
No, and yeah.
In the remake,
yeah, but
yeah,
then
so in that scene where Lilo is drowning, David gets him. At the end, Lilo drowns twice in this movie. At the end, Lilo is trying to save Stitch. Stitch lets himself go.
Yes.
Lilo is still alive and conscious, so she can actively plead. David doesn't get, or David tries again, but can't.
He's weak.
Another change is going back to Stitch doing it for different reasons, I guess. They cut out the part where David says, I really thought they would make it, and then you came along. He's just like, I really thought they would make it. Which I feel like, again, is a fundamentally different line. But we're now veering into third act territory, which is where everything goes off the walls. We've already talked about it. Stitch drowning is an insane inclusion in this movie.
But
I can't believe we're going there.
But like he doesn't look like he's drowning. Like he's not gasping for breath.
I was really thinking about that because he was like really chill at the bottom of the ocean.
But like they say he's like indestructible, so I almost wonder, like, not that he could breathe underwater, but like maybe he could.
Yeah, maybe he just like would have lived down there.
Or like he would, I don't know, eventually he would, I don't know. I don't know. But ultimately he gets saved.
But he needs CPR, so he would have drowned. He wouldn't have lived.
Oh. Did he get CPR in this remake?
Yeah, he gets CPR. He doesn't drown in the original. There's no CPR.
Yeah, there is. Somebody gets CPR in the original.
Lilo does.
Oh, okay.
No.
Somebody does. I just watched it. Somebody was real waterlogged coming out of there.
Maybe I'm just mixing the two. Because in the remake, after the surfboard crash, they have to take Lilo to the hospital. So maybe in the original she needs CPR. Yeah, no. In the original she needs CPR. Because then Bubbles is like, come on.
Yeah.
Bubbles, that's a little bit hard. because you saw they were having a great time all day, and then the one time they get in a crash, you're like, hey, bad things, and just saying. But in this one, again, the change is she doesn't have health insurance for Lilo, and Lilo needs it, and so
Yep.
yes, that's what happened. But they do CPR on Stitch in this one, in the remake.
Yes.
And then, I guess, shall we talk about the moment,
The ending.
the ending?
So the big change is that ultimately David's and his mom decide that they are going to adopt Lilo so that Nani can go to school in California and be a marine biologist.
Something I want to point out is that Lilo says she wants Nani to go. This is a big important difference to me than Nani just going. I would like to throw that out there. Am I a fan of this change? Not necessarily. But I don't think it's as atrocious as many seem to be
Yeah.
saying it.
I wrote down, I said, Nani going to school. I don't hate it, but it was a choice. I'm going to be honest. My biggest thing against it is that they're in Hawaii. I'm pretty sure they have pretty great colleges there for marine biology. Why does she have to go to San Diego, California?
Because it's the best.
Is it though?
Apparently. I've heard online that she went to UCLA, right?
No, she was in San Diego. Because Lilo had a shirt that said San Diego.
UC San Diego, I see. Apparently it's one of the best marine biology schools. And I think that's why it's more of a big deal that Tutu's literally like, get out of here. But, can I read an article?
Yeah, but I want to say something else though. Oh, the only thing I was going to say is that it's a little convenient that right now David's mom is like, oh, we can take her in. Couldn't ever before, but
I mean, again, I think the social worker is the one that comes up with the idea, not Tutu. Because again, I would like to point out Tutu spends more time with Lilo in this movie than Nani does. So like, it's not surprising that that's the ending we went with. I have a little bit of a problem with the fact that they kind of do both still. Because it's like they thought that people would be mad about this change, so then they incorporate the fact that she can now use a portal gun to just come back whenever she feels like it. And now I'm just like, okay, so you made a ballsy decision, which I can respect. I may not like it, but I can respect that you made a change. But then you didn't really stick with that change because you're just like, well, she can come and go anytime she pleases.
they did make it seem like she's not really supposed to do that though.
But they are clearly doing it. And maybe she just got there and it's like the first night alone, so they get together.
It kind of seemed like it was the first night because Lilo was commenting about her dorm room. Like it was the first time she had seen it.
Yeah. So
Read your article.
oh, yeah. It's titled "The Lilo and Stitch Backlash Reveals How Little America Understands Hawaiians."
Yeah.
And this is by Christine Hitt.
Hashtag not sponsored.
She basically talks about how everyone's pissed about the ending, blah, 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 but how it doesn't actually. However, these views fail to look at family through a Hawaiian lens. Nani isn't abandoning Lilo or giving her up. She's not giving Lilo behind because Tutu is a part of their ohana too, which is exactly what they've been setting up. So, at the end of the movie, the social worker, Mrs. Kikoa, facilitates a type of HAMAI, Hanai relationship. But Hanai is never explained in the movie. So apparently she has a line that says, It is usually a much easier transition in these foster situations in the family, Hanai or otherwise, are involved. The social worker says that. But Hawaiian tradition, Hanai is a type of adoptive relationship which really can't be compared to the Western definition of adoption. Hanai is more complex and fluid with many variations.
Maybe if they had introduced it earlier, people would be more okay with it. I don't know.
Hanai dives deeper into the makings of a family and expands upon it. In Hawaiian tradition, grandparents took firstborn grandchildren, natural parents renounced all claims, and sometimes babies were given to other relatives who asked for them, according to a book that native speaker Mary Kowina Pukui, a Hawaiian scholar, co-authored. Hanai also applies to non-blood relationships, and it's apparently a very well-known practice in Hawaii. So, with all that being said, I can, again, from a perspective of this is what happened in the original, I get it. I think another point that people seem to be missing is Ohana does not just mean leaving people behind, it means not forgetting them either. And I kind of wish they spent a little bit more on this point, because Tutu does have this whole thing, this whole little monologue about how...
Yes. She mentions, that's another Hawaiian word, I don't remember what it was called, I don't remember, I'm not going to try to say it, uncultured white girl. But basically meaning you still have to stay true to yourself as well, and that this is, I know we're not in the themes, but this is ultimately, I think, what they were trying to do with this remake, in that giving Nani almost her own story in a way, because she didn't ask for her parents to die and then the full responsibility to be put on her. She had hopes and dreams. She shouldn't have to sacrifice everything because life handed her a bad card.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. So, to get to the end, I personally don't necessarily agree with the way they went, but I think it works what they did. So I'm not super mad about it.
Yeah, I feel I feel the same way. I can understand why people don't like it, especially when they want it to be exactly like the original, just with real people. But I don't think it's the worst.
So yeah, that's a... Oh, I also want to talk about the last scene that, even though they ruined it by giving her a portal gun, I did... The last line of the entire movie is Stitch saying goodnight, sisters. And I just...
Oh.
I thought that was a cute way to end the movie, where they're all sleeping together and they all say goodnight to each other.
Yeah, I also thought that was a slight reference to the beginning when they're looking at the stars.
Yep.
And there's 3 stars.
Third star?
Yeah.
I keep saying it, but the emotional family parts, for the most part, if you want to talk about the ending, that's fine. But for the most part, I think the Lilo and Stitch relationship works in this movie.
Yeah, the Ohana theme is definitely still there.
Which is, I think, based on how they handled the beginning and why they got rid of Gantu and whatever, is I think their main purpose was to give Nani a bit more of a story and to really focus on the Lilo and Stitch relationship, and I think they handled that.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else about the plot?
No, let's get into the characters.
All right. We already talked about some of these.
Let's start with the main attraction. Stitch. Out of 10.
Yeah.
Great. No
Stitch
notes.
is the best part of this movie. I think they made the right choice having Chris Sanders.
Yes.
Come back.
Yep.
to voice him. I think doing anything else would have been a complete
Yes.
disgrace. Although he doesn't, I don't think he talks as much in this one as he does in the original.
I think that's fair, but I also think they don't realize he's an alien in this one until much later.
Yep, that's true.
So, like, he's trying not to talk.
As we jump back to plot, because there's a whole scene, a series of scenes in the original where he reveals himself as an alien, and like Lilo's mad at him, and then like Nani's mad at him. Another thing they cut that I don't love is again going back to the Nani Stitch relationship. Is I'm pretty sure I don't remember Stitch saying Ohana back to Nani. Because he doesn't, because he's captured by Jumba, and then Lilo sneaks onto the ship. So then Nani never tries to go save Lilo.
Yeah. I wonder if also they didn't play into the Stitch and Nani relationship as much because they knew Nani's going to be going away, and like Stitch is really there for Lilo now.
So, but yeah, no, Stitch was great. The way he was animated,
Yeah, that was like perfect,
I think was.
especially in a day and age where you never know what you're going to get with some of these live action characters that they come out with.
That's true.
Stitch, yeah.
Stitch, star of the show. He's great.
He's so cute, he's so fluffy.
The reason I came, and I was satisfied.
The reason Ian got a $40 popcorn bucket.
Did buy a $40 popcorn bucket of Stitch eating a pineapple. So, who really won here? Should we move on to Lilo next?
Yeah, I thought Lilo was fine. I remember when I first saw her, I felt like she looked younger than the original, but like I still think she looks pretty young. But like I thought she was fine. She was a kid. She sounded like a kid. She looked like a kid.
Yep, okay. So, I was probably a little hard on Lilo when we first got out of the movie. But I think you nailed my feelings for it, and I don't blame her, but she is a child, and every time she was on screen, I just was thinking,
She's a child.
it's clearly a child acting, like it wasn't like top tier acting.
Yeah.
But the other thing I thought about after the fact was that most of her scenes are across from a CGI character.
Yeah, so that is kind of impressive.
Yeah, because like I said, I feel like the emotion was there when they had family scenes. So
Although
when she acted across from other people, I was like, she has it. Like she has the chops.
yeah, but I also feel like it's probably maybe a little easier for a child to imagine that they're talking to a dog alien thing.
So, but yeah, no, she was a child, but she was good. How they wrote Lilo this time, we already kind of discussed it. I think maybe it goes more for Nani, who we can jump into next. But I think they wrote both of the girls just a little more depressed in this one.
Which I think is fair.
I like that change. I like Nani in this movie more than I like original Nani. That might be a hot take. I don't know.
That might be a hot take.
I think the way they wrote Nani in this one is so good. I think it's really relatable because you see her I think you see her struggling more throughout the movie. And I know a line some people didn't love was when she says, well, our parents left us.
Yeah.
But, like, that's just the anger. She's in the anger part of grief, guys.
Yeah, and I also thought the second part of that line, where she basically tells Lilo to get into reality, was a little harsh to say to a 6-year-old, but they are sisters, and that is, like, sisters are mean to each other, honestly.
And just like, when you think about where she's at, like, her life is low-key falling apart because she has to care for this child that she does love. But she also knows that she probably isn't as capable of loving Lilo as she wants. And when Lilo doesn't help her, it's obviously a little frustrating. Mm-hmm. So, again, I may not agree with how she chose to handle that, but I can understand her frustration in that moment. And I think Nani was a very well written character in this one around. This one.
Yeah, I get it, but there are times where I'm like, did they make her a little too harsh? Like, did they play it up too much? I don't know.
No, at least not in my mind. But I also think that's why they included Tutu, because Tutu is like the nice grandma.
That's true.
So Nani is like straight.
And is ultimately who becomes the mother figure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very true.
We talked.
But going back to Nani, I was going to say I understand how people would see it that way. Because you have Nani who, in the original, is her whole time just trying to be this mother figure for Lilo and like give her this sense of Ohana. To now, Nani is very much fed up that she has to deal with all this, which I agree totally. Like, I'm not saying I believe this, but so now Nani just has this new voice that she didn't have before, and now it's like, what about Nani's future? What's Nani gonna do? Nani shows a lot more aggression in this version. Nani stands up for herself more.
I think that's an interesting take. I know it's not necessarily your take.
It's not my take. It's just a big thing on the internet.
I get it, but I feel like Nani in this version, while fed up with everyone, does still try to care for Lilo. Like, I don't think you can read the original. I don't think you can watch the original and also not think that version of Nani is not fed up, because I think that version of Nani is also fed up.
Well, yeah, no, I probably agree with you, but all the things that they did add to her in this storyline, I don't know. That's just what the internet was saying.
I mean, I know it's not your thought. So, but
I also think it goes into the fact that she is a Hawaiian woman, and that in Hawaiian culture, they try as hard as they can to take care of their own. And so I think in the Hawaiian community especially, it's like 50-50. You have some that are fine with the whole ohana meaning, but there are some that don't see it as authentic. Then you have those other people who are solely concerned about Nani's looks, and also got some flack for that. Because in the original, obviously, not a real person, people, first off. But she's very thick-thighed Hawaiian woman. And people are saying they didn't portray her well enough.
I'm tired. I'm tired of this whole characters have to look exactly like characters talk, but that's a time for another day. If you don't think Nani is attractive in this movie, something is wrong with you. I said what I said. Anyway, moving on. Who do we want to do next?
Let's go with David, because I'm disappointed in David.
Yeah, I wasn't even going to talk about David, because he's just like David.
This is true. I like the animated version better. I didn't like the guy they chose for this one. Like, he was fine. He played the part. I feel like they made him just a little kind of just dopey.
They went with like dumb.
Yeah.
Muscle.
He doesn't even have muscles.
I But that's kind of the vibe they were trying to go with.
But I feel like they made him too dumb. I don't know. And I feel like in the original, he's more like laid back Hawaiian guy,
Yeah.
and he didn't really feel like that.
It's chill.
Yeah.
David didn't know how to talk to girls, so so that's David. We talked plenty about Tutu, so
Let's go to Pleakley and Jumba.
yeah. Yeah.
Pleakley, obviously there's also some controversy there. People didn't like that they didn't have him cross-dressing.
But then those people didn't actually watch the movie.
Well, shame on them. Because instead they gave us, like, very flamboyant Pleakley, which I thought was amazing.
Bleakley was fun. I had a lot of fun with Bleakley in this one. I think the guy that they got, I don't know his name.
He was great, though.
He was perfect.
Yeah.
He was so good. Maybe it's because he was sharing the screen with Jumba, who I didn't like at all.
No, he was.
But he was perfect. I want to see him and everything.
He was pretty great. I think that was a great casting. Jumba, though, could have been better. You said it a bit earlier. I don't know if that's part was getting cut or not, but you said it a bit earlier that his human version of him was a little lacking. Also, the decision to not make him Russian anymore. I kind of missed that. Or like, I don't know. I feel like just like the human version of him should have been, I don't know. I also think it was a choice to make him an employee. Like, I know when they like mirrored them or whatever, copied them, it was just like the first two random people together they saw. But I feel like they could have made it funnier if it was like just anybody else, really.
I mean, I totally agree.
Are we missing anybody?
I mean, Cobra Bubbles, but like he was pretty.
Yeah, he was fine.
Yeah.
Do I wish he was Terry Crews? Yes, but that's fine. He didn't have as big of a part this time, so I think fine.
Yep.
The Congress governor, what is she called? The alien
Yeah, I also.
Congresswoman?
Grand Chancellor or something like that.
Chancellor, whoever. She was great. She was pretty spot on to the original. I have no notes for her.
Going into visuals, I thought she looked really good too.
Yeah.
The first look of her in the ship, I was like, ooh, actually looks kind of good.
Yeah. I think most of the aliens looked good. There's only one moment where I caught the CGI off for Stitch. It was towards the end. Yeah, Nani pets him. And it just looks like she's like flat petting some, like it's very quick, but they missed that one. But I did, after rewatching some clips online, see another moment. I think it's when they're at the beach talking to the aliens. And Stitch goes up to David and like tugs on his shorts and then to be picked up. But like it's also very quick and like off to the side scene. But like David like looks, but like Stitch is like more to his left, but David looks like not at Stitch, but then starts to lean down to pick him up, and then it just cuts to like him holding Stitch. So I'm like, all right, but those are like really the only two.
Yeah, I agree. Like my biggest issue was that scene when he first gets to Earth, because I think it looks like a video game. But other than that, in terms of CGI, I thought it was pretty good here. Like, no complaints from me. Except for, I definitely saw that one on the beach with Nani petting. I didn't see the David one, but.
What was your favorite scene visually? I have an answer.
Yeah.
Stitch, when he's sitting on the bottom of the ocean, that scene was gorgeous.
That was a nice shot.
Yes.
Yeah. I actually, now that you said that, I'm pretty sure I sat there and said, "Ooh, nice shot." I'm pretty sure that's what it's like.
Yeah, it was gorgeous, but it was also such an emotional moment. Yeah, it's just great.
That was a good shot, yeah. In terms of cinematography, though, was there anything else that really...
I mean, I feel like it was all pretty basic. Like, I don't think there was anything that needed to be grand.
I will say, this isn't exactly in cinematography, but when Lilo and Stitch, the original, has some gorgeous visuals in their art style because it's like hand-drawn watercolor backgrounds.
Yeah.
And I feel like some of the charm is lost when you do it live action because you're like missing that that beauty. Like, for those that don't know, which is all of you listening probably, I love animation. I'm a big animation guy because I think you can do a lot in animation that you can't necessarily do in live action, and a lot of them does involve style. And I think the original Lilo and Stitch, something that stood out to me was the style of the movie and how it was animated and the backgrounds. And, like, I just felt like you kind of lost that here. Like, I think, I don't live there, I've never been, I think Hawaii is a very pretty island.
Yeah, I did think there were some lost moments.
Yeah, it's not that, like, they didn't do a good job of, like, they show the island a lot. They show the nature. But there wasn't, like, a single shot where I was like, wow, look how pretty that is.
Yeah, they didn't, like, emphasize.
Right. So that was a little bit disappointing for me.
I did see the watercolor background from the original Lilo and Stitch. That was, like, the first time Disney had decided to do that since, like, the 60s or something.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, it works.
Yeah.
I don't even know who directed this movie.
It's a younger guy. Has a short name. I can't remember though.
Dean Fleischer Camp.
Dean.
All right. Well, I know nothing about Dean Fleischer Camp, but the best thing I can say about this movie and what Dean did is, I think, again, I've talked about before, I think he really nailed the thing that I think is most important about Lilo and Stitch, and that's the emotional aspects of the family. Like, I think he really nailed that part. I give him a lot of credit for that. I don't know. I never know when it comes to remakes, like, who makes the final decisions for changes. Is that from a director standpoint? Because if so, I have some criticisms.
I think it's some of both. Like, I do know that they originally did shoot Bleakley as there were scenes where he was cross-dressing, but somebody else ended up saying no to that. Probably somebody higher up in Disney.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they have to answer to people higher than them. Like, Marvel, we know that to be a fact, right? Like, you have to answer to Kevin Feige. So I would assume there's someone there for Walt Disney. I mean, it's that guy or girl. I can see them on stage at, like, D23 talking about the Disney stuff. It's probably that person, you know? But, like, in terms of directing, I don't have... Depending on what changes were his idea and which were Disney's idea, like, that varies a lot of how I feel about it. But like I said, the movie itself isn't bad. So in terms of him directing, like, he did a fine job.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Any critiques that I feel like I do have are mostly because I'm thinking about the original.
Exactly. Soundtrack felt very similar to the original. We even got some callbacks to some of the music.
Yeah, the opening scene is not the exact same song, if you look at the lyrics.
Yeah, they changed lyrics. I did know that.
But not that I know Hawaiian. I just know they're different. But still the same melody. I would be curious to know what the translation differences were. But it was still that same singer and the children's choir, which I thought was cool. The Hawaiian roller coaster song, still the same song, still the kids' choir, but they did change the main singer on that. That was Iam Tongi, last year's winner of American Idol, a Hawaiian native. I thought he did a pretty good job. The soundtrack or the score in general was longer for this one than the first one. The first one almost has like no original, like besides the main Hawaiian songs, not really any other original ones. They're mostly the Elvis ones and stuff like that.
Yeah. I really missed out on Lilo Stitch in this one. I know we got him at the very end.
Yeah, they showed just a little thing of him.
So then I guess we can start wrapping up. Final thoughts on themes, how you think this will be viewed in a couple of years, what are your favorite moments, anything like that?
I think the main theme is still the same as the original. This idea of Ohana, nobody gets left behind or forgotten. It's still very prevalent throughout the whole movie, even with the new Nani storyline going on.
I think you added one. We talked about it a little bit earlier, too.
The theme of like how you shouldn't have to sacrifice your own dreams.
Like, care for yourself as well as others, too, you know? There's a lot of people that just focus solely on caring.
At the end of the day, you can't set yourself on fire to keep other people warm.
Wow.
Deep.
So.
But overall, good movie. Again, the only time I can think of critiques are when thinking about the original. So like just as a movie, I think it's fine. It's a good movie.
I've been on the same wavelength. I think a lot of kids that saw this are going to view it positively as they grow up. I don't know how many have seen the OG or how many will see the OG at some point in their lives, but like, I think what they got here is it's a good movie, fun with a good message that I think will stay with them. And if we ever talk about this movie in 5 years again, who knows? I don't. So, what was your favorite moment?
That's hard.
Mine was Stitch drowning.
Okay, I was gonna say that, but it's not really a good moment.
Which is like, that's the way I just casually said it. Like, what's your favorite moment? Oh, mine was Stitch drowning. I just think that scene, I was just not expecting a scene like that in this movie. And then I just was kind of like...
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was done well. Like, we talked about the shot underwater, and he made me cry as he's sinking, and he's doing, like, the whole stuff going down. Like,
Yeah. I think it's also, like, the key moment where almost, like, Stitch, a switch turns, and he's not bad anymore, because he's like, please let go of me. Yeah, so, yeah, I definitely like that. Just a shout-out moment was at the end when he finally says what Ohana is, and like to the alien lady, and he's like, "This is my family." It's word for word from the original, but that was a good moment.
There's something I want to talk about that actually, because in the original, they kind of do this thing where like Lilo's like, I own Stitch. So if you steal him, like you're stealing. But in this one, I felt like it harkened back to the beginning a little bit more, where she tells Stitch to give them a reason to believe that he's not totally bad. And at the end, he's like, no, like I found a family I love, like I found people I love. And like he shows it in his actions by wanting to say bye to them. And I think it's done a little bit better, that scene in the remake, because it actually shows the congresswoman or the whatever Chancellor, like, oh, there is good in him, so I
Yeah.
can let him live out the rest of his life on this planet, rather than just being like, oh yeah, it's a rule, I guess, that like not that
I think she realized it
she
in the
does
first
still,
one.
in the original, like realize that he's good. She just doesn't think she can do anything about it.
Yeah.
But I like in here that like she makes that decision on her own rather than being forced into it by Lilo.
Yeah.
So after all that, we come to our final ranking. What would you give it?
Immediately after we watched it, I gave it 4 stars. I will say I had a bias on Stitch. So I'm now at 3.5, having thought about it more. But it's pretty high, 3.5.
So I would also give this a 3.5. It's good. It falls apart a lot when comparing it to the original, but I think it's a pretty good movie. I'd watch it again, and I'd have fun with it again, and I'd probably cry again. So, admittedly, I'm still biased with Stitch. Like, I don't know if Stitch wasn't in here, if it would be a 3.5, but
Probably not.
Stitch makes and breaks the movie, and Stitch made the movie here, so like,
Yep.
it's 3.5. So that averages out to a 3.5 for us. Yeah. If you haven't seen it, again, I don't know why you're listening to us. We just spoiled a bunch of stuff. But I would go out, give it a watch, or wait for it on Disney Plus. It's making bank right now. Audiences around the world do seem to be loving it. So, thanks for tuning into this discussion. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. We're going to do a quick little round of real rankings. This is where we do some rankings, the two of us, and then we talk about our rankings. So we decided this time around to jump off of Lilo and Stitch. We would do our top 3 live-action Disney remakes. So we're going to start there. There's going to be hot takes in here. I have a hot take one right off the bat. I know that. So, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. You have a hot take about one of mine or yours?
Mine.
Oh, okay.
My first one is 100% a hot take.
Really?
Yeah.
You mean your third one?
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say. All right.
The one I'm going to say.
Got you. Okay. So for me, number 3, also, before I start, let me preface this and say that when thinking about my top 3 live-action Disney movies, I have realized how many I haven't seen.
Okay, actually, this is a good point, because I also want to say this. I was looking at the list, and I was like, I haven't watched a lot of movies. So...
Call yourself a fan.
I know. So for those of you at home wondering, where's this on the list? We probably just haven't seen it. So this is a very biased, skewed list based on what we've seen. So
Yes. So at my number 3, I have Cruella.
one I haven't seen at all.
Really?
Yep. Never saw it.
I feel like this one didn't come out too long ago. Within the last
Emma Stone. Right?
yeah,
I never saw it.
within the last 10 years. And I, growing up as a kid, was a really big 101 Dalmatians fan. But with Cruella, it gave us almost a different story. It was almost kind of like an origin story for Cruella, which I was pretty into. I believe they're working on a second one.
Is it akin to the Maleficent movies?
I'd say sort of. Yeah. Yeah, it kind of shows you why she becomes who she becomes. But I thought it was decent. I enjoyed it.
Okay, cool. Here's my hot take. Number 3 for me
Oh.
is Mulan.
Wait. I have a hotter take.
Okay.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't want to see it. I just haven't seen it.
There were so I want to jump in right off the bat. I don't. There's a lot of controversy about where it was filmed and how it was filmed. Apparently, it was filmed around concentration camps and stuff like that, which did not go into my thought process at all when I watched the movie or thought about the movie or like rated the movie at all. I just rated the movie on entertainment factor, and I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I think it might be the most overhated one, in my opinion.
Whoa.
Something I haven't said the whole time we talked about Lilo and Stitch, which is amazing to me, is my philosophy on remakes, because I think that plays a huge part in why I rank Mulan so high. When I view a remake, I think of it as an actual remake. Nothing annoys me more than when a remake is 100% the exact same movie as the original. Looking at you, 2019 Lion King. That bothers me so much because the original is right there. Just go watch it. Your children will love it. I promise you. You don't need to watch this. You just need to watch that. So, I like when movies make changes, especially remakes. And the reason I think I love Mulan so much is because it's nothing like the classic Mulan. It's basically a whole new original story with these characters that share similar names. Like, I don't even think the Mulan in this movie like comes close to resembling the Mulan in the animated. So it's just like it's like a whole nother movie.
I see.
Named the same movie as a Disney movie. But in terms of it being a remake, it's really not. And I think that's why I kind of dig it.
It's more like, it's like same concept, but different movie.
Yes. I mean, like, Mushu isn't in it.
I know, which is crazy. It's no musical. It's not a musical.
It's not a musical. I don't even think they use any of the music. The trailers did, though. The trailers used Reflection.
Which I can understand why people don't like it for that reason.
Oh, I understand. When it comes to looking at it in terms of comparing it to the original,
It's just different.
yeah. So yeah, Mulan's my number 3. Sorry to everyone that hates that movie. I should clarify, I've only seen it once, but I did thoroughly enjoy watching it. Shall we move on to our number 2s?
Yeah.
Do you want me to go?
Yeah.
That's normally how we do it, right?
You can go.
All right, my number 2, which is going to be weird after my whole my whole spiel, is The Little Mermaid. I really enjoyed The Little Mermaid remake. A lot. I thought,
I have another hot take. I haven't seen this one.
Lee is really charming in this role. I kept thinking Halle Berry, and I knew it wasn't that. So
It's a good thing. It's a good thing you didn't say that.
I mean, I think she's really charming. I liked it. I liked Melissa McCarthy.
Melissa McCarthy.
Javier Bardem is in this movie.
I am
Oh yeah, he's King Triton. That makes sense.
a fan of Halle Bailey, though. I love her voice. I have heard the songs, so.
Yeah, I think the songs really make this one to me. I know a lot of people didn't like the new stuff that they added, but I did. I like some better than others. I seriously, unironically, really love Scuttlebutt.
Oh yeah, you were.
Is like the worst song.
You were obsessed with that.
But like it's got a good beat. That's all I'm saying. But no, like I had a good time with it. There's that middle section, all the new stuff that they added that sucks. But other than that, like, I had a fun time with it. So.
As somebody that's never seen it, and as somebody who loved Sebastian, I I don't know that I would love him as much as a real fish. Sorry, I didn't mean to say Sebastian. Flounder.
Okay. It's Jacob. Jacob Tremblay.
Yeah, I know, but he's a real fish, not a cute fish.
Got you.
Yeah. My number 2 is Beauty and the Beast.
I haven't seen it.
Well, we already gave our disclaimer. I actually saw this one in that famous Japanese theater in Los Angeles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was there. It was my first time in California, and we wanted to go there, and that's what they were showing, so we saw it. And I thought it was pretty good.
I remember this one being heavily praised, if I remember correctly.
I feel like it was pretty accurate to the original, but like still felt modern. I think Emma Watson did a good job as Belle. Yeah.
71%
Hey,
critics score.
that's good for a Disney remake.
80%. I feel like it was one of the... I know there were like a ton that existed before like Beauty and the Beast, but I feel like Beauty and the Beast was the one that like kind of started
First decent one.
the push, I feel like. Yeah, I can't believe I never saw it. I really wanted to when it came out. I am curious before we get to our number 1. Well, I guess this will reveal what number 1 isn't, but that's okay. Because we both have the same number 1. I haven't seen it, so I'm going to ask if you've seen it. Because I've heard that it is, without a doubt, the best live-action remake. Did you see the live-action Aladdin?
I have not.
That makes sense. Because I also haven't. But I've heard it's quite good. Drop in the comments if you think it's good.
The only thing I know about it is Will Smith is the genie, and I didn't know if I could take that seriously or not.
So yeah, anyway, I've heard that one's good. Haven't seen it. So, you want to say our number 1s together?
Yeah.
Alright, number 1 in 3, 2, 1.
Lilo and Stitch.
It's probably a little bit biased because we both just saw it, but I do genuinely think this is the best out of the ones I've seen so far. Or at least the one I felt was most enjoyable. Obviously, Stitch steals the show here.
Yes.
Like, the ones I named, Little Mermaid and Mulan. Maybe my hot take is that Little Mermaid might be a better movie, but from an enjoyable standpoint, I like Lilo and Stitch a lot more than I liked watching Little Mermaid. So, yeah, I mean, I think Lilo and Stitch is the pretty clear number 1 for me.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. My answer currently is probably definitely biased because I loved Stitch. He was just so great. But again, my list of watched Disney live-action remakes is short, so take that as you will.
All right. Well, there you have it. Drop down in the comments what your favorite live-action remake is. Keep it Disney at this point. So, and thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Post Credits Commentary. We'll see you next time.
Bye.